Hello guys, Tomasz here and welcome to this new video. In today's video I'm going to talk about the refined M15 swing strategy. So just before starting, please do not skip any of the previous LC content. Even though it's M5, I guarantee it's very similar, so please watch those videos as well, okay? So in this video I'm going to talk about some important points in terms of the swing photon trading plan, and also I will explain with using some diagrams and also trade examples certain things along this list. Okay, so swing photon trading plan, the main idea is to high time frame objectives. Okay, we trade always based on high time frames using the medium time frame POIs and lower time frame execution. I know this can be very simple, but I guarantee that a lot of losses came from trying to play lower time frame objectives. Okay, I'm always having the high time frames on the forefront of my mind. I'm always with my H4 time frame open, see what's happening, because, and also something that you probably notice yourself, I'm just finishing the yearly ASR, which is basically going through the entire yearly trades, and the main ones, the best ones, let's say, all of them are based on high time frames objectives. Okay, all of them follow those kind of moves, and when it's from the high time frames objectives, the price just goes smooth. So it's very important. High time frame objective, medium time frame POI, and lower time frame execution. So I also trade the euro dollar and GBP USD. To be honest, I just stopped trading AUD USD. Okay, it's not something that stopped working, not at all. But I need to, with the amount of frequency we can have, and with the amount of opportunities, I just prefer to be a little bit more conservative and stick to 2 pairs instead of 3. Okay, there's nothing wrong. You can just trade EU and AU, or you can even trade the 3 pairs combined. There's nothing wrong with that, but I know myself, I know how I like to trade, and I'm very comfortable having those 7, 10, 12 trades per month, so I'm happy to just 2 pairs. Okay, so it's nothing wrong if you want to add Aussie dollar. So my high time frame keeps being the daily and the H4. My medium time frame is the H1, and the low time frames, as you guys know, is the M15. Okay, everything in terms of structure and supply and demand, I use daily H4 and H1. I'm not on the M15 trying to organize trade ideas, like I said, and using structure and supply. When I go to M15, which is my lower time frames, I'm literally waiting for my entry model. So that simplifies a lot of the things. Also, one thing that's very important, H1 POIs within M15 execution. This is something that I want to talk about with you, because 95% of the times, 90% of the times, I stick with H1s POIs, but I know, and I'm happy to use that experience, that when price action can be a little bit messy or have multiple POIs, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with just jump a time frame, pick an H4 POI and trade from them. Okay, again, H1 POIs 95% of the time, but I'm happy to use my experience to know, okay, H4 is super clean, let's just grab the H4 POI instead of the H1, but it's up to you, you can see which works. Okay, it's not a big deal, and yeah. So also, in terms of H1 POIs within M15 execution, I want to show you guys a diagram that I think can help. So what I'm doing, I'm basically waiting for price to, in this case, ideally be in my favor, create some kind of protected low, and once that happens, it can be ideally from a boss, but it can be an internal boss or even a change of character. It will depend, of course, in each phase you are, but basically price pulls back down, mitigate H1 POI, which is my medium time frame, and then I look for my lower time frame entry models. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but please just focus that I wait for the pullback, and once medium time frame is mitigated, only then I can go to the M15. Okay, I don't want you guys to be on M15 around here. I'm just using lower time frames when the medium time frame POI is mitigated. Okay, it's very, very important. Essentially, this is basically what I do. And yeah, so let's now go back to the other page and entry models. Okay, entry models, something that I make, and you guys see a different video for each entry model. So everything will be covered in the next couple of videos, but I want to let your brain start thinking and also give you more information. So entry models, I personally use LC1, I personally use LC2A and LC2B. Okay, let me just show you some variables. Okay, so LC2A, again guys, I made a specific video about this entry, talking about all the variables and the difference and how I classify a lower time frame lead. So please stay with me, and yeah, you guys will notice in the next couple of videos that will be available. You can just have much more information about this specific entry model with all the details, trade recap, etc. So it will be much clearer. But again, I'm just making this to let you guys start thinking, and it makes a lot of sense. So for me, LC1 is the entry model that I use, and with a lower time frame lead, I personally just looking at some opposite candle color. What that means? It means that as long as, for example, in a bullish leg, as long as it's a red candle, or like whatever the candle's color you have, but as long as it's a red candle, even though it never causes any kind of fractal pullback or even a small pullback or whatever, as long as it's a red candle, I mark as lower time frame lead. Okay, why I do that? Because I use M15. Okay, if you use M5, you can afford being a little bit more specific in your low time frame lead. But for me, I'm very, very confident, especially when I use these type of patterns. You will see again in the video specific for this entry model. But I personally use this when, for example, price is moving down and then we shift, and then we have, for example, a super small range, super tight range, ideally, and I just want to get involved. And sometimes within this leg, or even within this leg, when you're trying to catch the higher low, because on M15, these small tight ranges, price action is very tight, let's say, is very close to each other, and I don't want to say that I know what's going to happen next, but I'm very, very confident that this range can hold and price can just follow the order flow, especially the first two range within the first two ranges of the move. I know that, and I know based on my data that I can be more aggressive. So I'm happy to be a little bit more aggressive classifying low time frame lead. So basically I just classify them with a candle color. So basically it's the red candle, I'm happy to use it, or inside bars. Okay, but this will be, everything will be covered, so don't worry about that. Just let you guys start thinking. But like I said, in the first range, I'm happy to be more aggressive. So I personally don't want to miss those kinds of trades where everything is aligned or just following the order flow, just because on M15 price just have a weak and trade above previous candle's high, and it's not a fractal low. So I just prefer to be more aggressive. But apart from that, I also use LC2A. You already know, is not enough, in my opinion, to reinforce the idea that's always on the PBID leg. So basically on the right side, I personally only look on the right side for this model, and the same goes for LC2B. You also will get access to a video where I show the data, and for me these two are my bread and butter, these two setups, and I'm happy to use this one, but I know the frequency is much less. Okay, it's much lower the number of LC2B trades, and I'm happy to be a little bit more conservative when using them, because I know these 2 are the best. You don't need to use this again, but there will be a specific video for each single entry model, so don't worry, everything will be covered. Just want to let you know that I personally use them. Okay, so going back into this page, fix R. So I personally go for 1 to 2. It and add commissions. Commissions on the M15 is not as high when using lower time frames. So it's it depends on the stop loss because it depends on the lot size, etc. But usually 2.1 or 15, maximum 2.2. So yeah, this is how I do fix to R plus commissions. I personally, as you guys notice, and you will see also on my stats video, my goal is always to increase the strike rate, not so much the risk reward. Okay, as human, at least myself, I prefer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we all have that kind of, if you don't have, well done to you, but I think as a human, we all like or appreciate being a little bit more right than wrong. So I prefer to have the strike rate above 50%. And for me, happy days. So I just prefer to focus a little bit more on strike rate. So that's why I use 2R. Please try 3R, play with Photon Excel spreadsheet, and you'll see which is the best risk reward you can get. Okay. Also, in terms of sessions, I will be covering this on the stats video, but for you just to see that I found that for me it works very well trading London. So from 7 to 10, I just put here 10, 10:30, because I'm not super strict, like, okay, 10 I stop trading. No, I can give like 1-2 candles, like 2 candles on M15 is like 30 minutes. So I'm still a little bit more, I understand that this is not like, okay, 10 a.m. stop trading. I personally don't think that it's that way. So I just prefer to give a little bit a window of time where I can be a little bit flexible and see if it's worth getting involved or not. But of course, the best ones are always in the first hours. As we get late in the session, I just a little bit more conservative. But yeah, that's how I trade. And I'm going to show everything about this on the stats video. You also get access. So max 2 Ls per day, it's something that I think it works. Usually with this entry model, I also had this rule long time ago, but I keep with it, especially with this entry model, because this entry model, the entry criteria is much less, so it allows you to take more trades. And usually when price reach a certain medium time frame POI, it's likely for you to get a trade. So if you have 2 Ls in a day, usually probably you not say that you did not understand what's happening, but you just end up confused, or you are just getting caught in low probability trades or environments that's not good, and that's perfectly fine. What I can do, I can protect myself and just write a rule that I just can't have 2 losses per day. Okay, if you risk 0.5 is 1% per day, not a big deal. If you risk 1% like myself, it's just 2% loss. It's not a big deal. Okay. And also one that's very, very important, but still I'll covering this in the coming videos, and also there will be videos regarding this, is I do not use the PBL rule. Okay, I'm going to talk about this in specific. I will make I have a trade here that I want to show you because it will be easier when you see what I'm the price, okay, price section, but I do not use PBL rule. Okay, let me explain using a diagram, not this one, this one. So what I say is, imagine that this is the H1, okay? This is H1 and price, okay, this is the H1, and then everything here is the M15, okay? So let's say, let me just use the H1 here for you guys to see, and apart from, and here, so basically, let's say here, this is M15, okay, let's say. So what is the rule, why I do not use the PBL rule, and what that means? So basically, imagine that this is an LC2A, so basically price chalk bullish, chalk bearish, okay, and then If you use the PBL rule, you just draw the PBL, and if the PBL is unmitigated, once price mitigates your medium time frame POI, you can still get involved. Okay, so even though if the PBL was mitigated, then okay, that's no longer valid. But in this case, the PBL is not mitigated, so after LC to A, you keep following this extension, and once price mitigates the medium time frame POI, you could get involved. Perfect, nothing wrong with that. However, the way I do things is I do not use the PBL rule, so I just delete this, and I'm trading the pattern. Okay, I'm trading the liquidation of the pattern. So what that means? It means that once price chalk up and then chalk bearish again, and then gives you the liquidation candle, that the candle that's supposed to get triggers you in. Okay, once that candle triggers you in, because it's not in a medium time frame POI, for me the pattern itself is completed. So because it's not in a medium time frame POI, when price comes back down, I need to wait for the new entry model again. Okay, let me repeat. So once price chalk bullish and then chalk bearish, right? If the liquidation candle that triggers you in is formed, for me, the pattern itself is completed. So regardless of price of the PBL still unmitigated, for me the pattern is completed. So when price comes back into the medium time frame POI, which is the place where I can finally use that lower time frames, I need to wait for the new entire entry model, because for me the entry model here was completed, but because the candle that triggers you in happened outside the medium time frame POI, I could not get involved, but the pattern itself is completed. Okay, so that's what I use. You can again choose which one you want to use. There is no right or wrong. Just what makes most sense to you. Okay, so now I lost I think okay, I do next time. So I want to explain you with a simple video, okay, with a trade. Let's talk about this trade, right? So basically, daily is bearish, okay? After the daily pulse bearish, daily chop. What that means? It means that price is now pulling back. Perfect. Now it pulls back to this supply. You already know I always mark the buy to sell candle, so price mitigates the daily supply. Can now this be the lower low? The lower high and from lower low? Yes, it can, because it's a daily mitigation. It can be enough to fuel lower prices. Yes, it can do other things. It can just pop down and then continue up, but at least there's room and there's potential that on the high time frames price can do this, because the mitigation is already completed. So let's see what happens on H4. So on the H4 we can see that daily boss bearish, then H4 boss bullish. Okay, the boss is here. I just mark here because it's clean, but you can just extend. So H4 boss bullish, pullback happens. Perfect, everything it's nice. Now that the daily mitigation is completed, what I can do, I have two things. Or now the bullish objective is now, this bullish objective is now completed, and price will eventually form the low, or because H4 form a protected swing low, it can be a pullback into discount, right, to then continue up and make a much deeper pullback on the daily. So either way, we can see that we still have room to the downside, because even though price can do this or go down, I'm happy to look for sells. And on the H4, something that I really like is the fact that we are in the premium. Okay, this is the EQ. We have unmitigated POI below, and something that's very, very good is this kind of liquidity. So we have liquidity to target, and this increases massively the chance because it acts as a magnet and price moves towards liquidity. Okay, it's very, very important. So you all agree right? That makes sense looking for sells. And this is something that I want you guys to always understand. And you can see on all my trades that I create the analysis on the high time frames. I'm always trading in line the high time frames. And something that I really like with the swing refined M15 approach is that it almost instill you, it almost make you trade this way, always having the high time frames on top of everything, because we naturally use higher time frames, right? H1, H4. I mean, it's something that you naturally are more in touch during the session, because automatically, if you want to trade the entries on the M15, the other time frames, which is H1, H4, the daily, are the other ones, correct? So you almost automatically have more relation with them, if that makes sense. But yeah, so it makes sense for me looking for sells. And if you use the H1, what we have this H1 swing boss, and this for me was more like internal. So internally, boss bearish, making the pullback of this H1 swing leg. You can see everything combines together. We have this unmitigated H1 demand here, and this is the H4, like we said, acting as magnet for price. We also have liquidity, and if this daily mitigation is going to hold, price is going to the downside. Okay, so what we have here, we have a low that did not achieve absolutely anything. It's not coming from anything relevant for me. When it's like weak ranges and all that kind of stuff, I just prefer to or be a little bit more conservative or ignore, because I prefer to wait for those clean buy to sell, sell to buy candles. But again, it's definitely, I can see is a valid demand, but for me it's not very high probability. But anyway, what I really like is the fact that this low did not achieve absolutely anything. And then what we have, price tried to push up and aggressively push down, creating this kind of protected internal high. Or you can say internal of internal, because the internal bearish was here. Internal boss bearish is here. So at this moment, we have an internal protected high, and we have a low that did not achieve absolutely anything. Okay, not only that, if you mark the demand itself, it was already mitigated a couple of times. So it's not something that I'm worried about. So I want to trade down, okay, in line the high time frames, knowing that this low is going to be weak. So that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I just marked this POI, and once the price reach this POI, I will look to sell. Okay, let's see. So this is Asia session, so let's continue. Asia session, price never mitigates the POI. So we have, okay, so now what we have this low time frame lead, perfect, and price mitigates the POI. So straight away, I'm happy to look for sells. Okay, perfect. You can touch this demand, so all good. Okay, what happened next? You can see that the moment price trade higher, I immediately delete the order and I wait for candle to close. Once the candle close, it makes sense for me to look for sells. But I want to let you know one thing, that the PBL, regardless if you mark here, this weak range, that was responsible for sweep low time frame lead, or even this one. Okay, that's still a valid trade, even though you are aware of the PBL rule. But what happens? Price never tag you in, so because you have a stop order, right? You never get tagged, and what happens? The PBL holds and form a higher high. I know that some of you use weak breaks. You need to wait for a candle closure to see the PBL being completed. Okay, so if you wait for a candle closure, for you the PBL still did not do its job yet. Okay, but I think you guys are understanding, because the rule that I use is because I don't care about the PBL, I'm still looking for the trade, because this was the entry, I did not get triggered Once the next candle breaks this candle, I continue and I follow the trade while we still contain within the medium time frame POI. If for some reason you use the PBL rule with a weak break, we can see that PBL here holds and made a higher high. So technically, again, if you use the weak break, that's no longer a valid trade for you. That's fine. Okay, it's not not better, not worse. It's just different. Okay, I'm not saying it's worse. It's just different. But in this case, I still try to get involved in the trade because I did not get tagged in this candle. So let's see. Okay, and price tags you in. In terms of target, you can map a few things. Okay, you can target the H4 POI, or because you can see on the H4 the massive amount of liquidity, you can target the liquidity itself. Okay, or if you use partials, you can even let a few percentage run to target the low in case the daily lower high will be formed. Because remember that H4 was bullish to mitigate the daily, and once the daily supply is mitigated, we can go to the downside, especially with this kind of liquidity here. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially if you have a more swing approach in terms of TPs. Nothing wrong with that. But you can see the main thing I want to tell you is the fact that is the no PBL rule. So I do not use PBL. So regardless of price closing above here or not, I can still follow the trade because I do not use the rule of the PBL. And yeah, I think you guys understand. It was very, very clear, at least for me. And this would be your trade. So let's see. Price taps into the H4 POI. Okay, let's see what happens. Yeah, and continue moving down. So it's easier to say like this. Okay, and the target was completed. In this case, the best target could be the H4 demand. So for almost 5%. Okay, I personally, like I said, I use 1 to 2, but if you use 1 to 3, you will be covered on this one. So let's see, yeah, 4.69. So yeah, so that's the trade. I hope you guys can also see the rules, and yeah, let's now repeat this. So basically, okay, it's here. So right, high time frame objective, medium time frame POIs, low time frame execution. Right, just a very quick summary. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Then daily and H4 as my high time frame. My medium time frame is the H1, and my low time frame is M15. Structure and supply and demand, the daily H4 and H1. Again, I'm not using the M15 here. H1 POIs within M15 execution, where majority of them is H1, but I happy to use a little bit of my experience and trade on how can I say, on H4 POIs, like I said. So M15 entry models for me is LC1, LC2A, LC2B. Okay, you already know. And don't worry, this will be covered in a video, but the low time frame lead for me does not need to be a fractal pullback. It can be just a red candle. Then fix R. So I personally, at the moment of recording this video, I'm targeting to R. But remember guys, I'm always evolving the market. So if, for example, I have a quarter that I can see the price is very trending, and I can see I would be more profitable or having still a decent strike rate using other target, I may evolve with the markets. Okay, I'm not saying that I'll be using this target forever, but as things stand, for me is the best one. That fits my personality as a trader. Then in terms of session timing, I will also make a video in the stats that talks about this. You'll be able to see that. But this is the ones that I follow. Max 2 Ls per day and the no PBL rule, which I just talk about that. Okay, guys, I just talk about that. And yeah, I'm trading the pattern itself. So on the liquidation candle that triggers you win its form, the pattern itself for me is completed. So once price mitigates down the medium time frame PY, I need to wait for the entire entry model. So I do not use the PBL rule. So that's it, guys. I hope it's clear, and yeah, enjoy the next couple of videos because yeah, I think they are good. See you guys on the next one. Bye.